"Congratulations on your marriage." With the sound of crackers, white doves, and colorful balloons danced in the sky. My wife and I were at the pinnacle of happiness, being blessed in our marriage by friends and relatives. My name is Daniel. Today is my wedding day with my girlfriend of 5 years, Jennifer. Jennifer, who has supported me through my assignments in the Special Forces, and I are finally getting married. Due to the secretive nature of my job, there were times I couldn't be reached suddenly or couldn't explain my work. Because of this, women I dated in the past suspected me of cheating or were unsure if we were even in a relationship, leading to breakups. But Jennifer, she never did any of that. She always believed in me and waited. Whenever I finished a job and got in touch, she would act as if nothing was amiss, welcoming me with a big smile, soothing me. I wanted to marry her. At some point, that's what I started thinking. However, my job is fraught with danger. One wrong move and I could leave her a widow. With retirement set at 35, I told Jennifer to wait for me until then, and she readily agreed. And now, I've finally fulfilled that promise. Jennifer, 2 years younger at 33, looks younger than her age and is beautiful, with a bright and cheerful personality. She always heals my mental fatigue from harsh training and missions with her smile and her excellent cooking. She's a flawless woman, and I still don't know why she chose me. She's far too good for someone like me. At our wedding, both of our parents and friends attended, making it a modest but beautiful ceremony. After the wedding, we headed to the airport for our honeymoon. The airport was bustling with lots of foreign tourists and Americans. We wove through the crowd, hand in hand, heading to our flight's terminal. After completing the check-in process early, we dropped off our luggage, passed through the security checkpoint, and made our way to the boarding gate. This was my first private trip abroad, and Jennifer, on her first ever international trip, was excitedly chatting with me. "I can speak Thai. Is that going to be okay? How many souvenirs should I buy? I've heard that the locals at the tourist spots can communicate in English, as there are many American tourists. Since we're going abroad, let's fully enjoy the local experience and worry about souvenirs on the last day." "Right. I've made a list of places I want to visit. Let's look at it together on the plane and plan our schedule." Saying that, she showed me the travel guidebook for our destination. The guidebook was marked with sticky notes, showing how much Jennifer was looking forward to the trip. "Once we land, let's rent a car and head to the hotel. Depending on how we feel after check-in, we'll either go out or rest." "Yes, we're there for a week, so let's take it easy." We continued talking while waiting in the lounge for our flight's departure time. Soon, boarding began, and we made our way to our seats. Our first time in business class was a comfortable experience, and we excitedly acted like children. When a flight attendant noticed and chuckled, we felt a bit embarrassed, but then she approached us. "We heard it's your honeymoon. While it's a modest gesture, we have a cake for you. Please let us know when you'd like to have it." Well, I didn't know they had services like this. Me neither. Let's enjoy it once the plane has taken off and we've settled in. As we were talking, it was time for takeoff. The plane took off on schedule, ascending swiftly into the sky. The comfort was incomparable to the military aircraft I was used to, and I was genuinely impressed. Jennifer, enduring the force of takeoff, gritted her teeth, and once we were in the sky, she let out a deep sigh of relief. Phew, that was surprising. It's the first time I've ever felt such gravity, Jennifer said, her eyes wide with amazement. Her occasional amusing comments always made me laugh, and that was one of the many reasons I found her endearing. After a while, she got excited about having the cake, so I called the flight attendant to bring it. Soon, a small whole cake was brought to us. Other passengers looked on with interest at the cake held by the flight attendant. When the attendant stopped in front of us, she placed the cake on the table, saying, "Congratulations on your marriage. Then, applause erupted from the surrounding passengers, and we bashfully thanked those who clapped for us. Jennifer handed her cell phone to the cabin attendant, asking to take a commemorative photo. After the photo was taken, the two of us shared and enjoyed a cake together. After finishing the cake, Jennifer seemed content and began to doze off, so I reclined her seat and covered her with a blanket to rest. I wasn't sleepy, so I watched a movie for a while, but before I knew it, the film had reached its ending. Perhaps due to the exhaustion from the wedding, I had fallen asleep. During my time in the Special Forces, sleeping on a plane was unthinkable, always in a state of high alert, so I felt a sense of guilt relaxing and sleeping to the sway of the aircraft. As I watched the movie's ending, I drifted off to sleep again, and when I woke up, we were nearing our destination. Jennifer was already awake, enjoying the view outside. After finishing our in-flight meal, the plane began its descent and landed safely at our destination. Jennifer, eager to get outside, fidgeted while waiting for the cabin attendant's instructions. Stepping off the plane and onto the boarding bridge, the unique warmth of a tropical island greeted us. Outside, lush tropical vegetation was visible, which seemed to raise Jennifer's spirits even more. Once we collected our baggage, we rented a car and headed to the hotel. "You're really fluent in Thai. That was so cool," Jennifer said excitedly. "Yeah, it's the first time that the language skills I was required to learn for work actually came in handy personally." As I said this, we drove along the coastline, enjoying the view of the clear blue sky and the beautiful sea. However, just before reaching the hotel, we found ourselves in trouble. The minivan in front of us suddenly stopped. In a panic, I slammed on the brakes to avoid a collision, and then 5 men burst out of the car in front of us. They were wearing masks, and one of them was a particularly large man. They surrounded our car clumsily and shouted, "Both of you, get out of the car," in an intimidating manner. Jennifer, clutching her head and crouching under the dashboard with a pale face, turned to me. "What are they saying?" As I opened the door to step out, I calmly responded, "They're telling us to get out of the car. I'll go first. Lock the door behind me." I got out with my hands raised, showing I wasn't resisting, and one of them came close to check if I was carrying anything, then put me in a headlock. Jennifer, peeking outside, settled into the passenger seat when a burly man, who seemed to be the leader, spotted her and spoke up. "Hand over that beauty." Another man tried to open the passenger door, but it was locked. He banged on the window, yelling at Jennifer to open the door. Frightened, Jennifer screamed and crouched down in the car. "Jennifer, just stay calm. Open the door and step outside. It's okay, I'm right here with you." Gently speaking to calm Jennifer down, she nodded and followed my instructions. Jennifer, trembling, opened the door, and the man grabbed her arm, pulling her out. "Don't touch her." Upon hearing my shout, the leader said, "Put the woman in the car." He then issued the command. As I calmly waited for the right moment to strike back, 2 men got into the car with Jennifer to take her away. The others were watching this, creating a brief moment of opportunity. I was being held, but I forcefully broke free, knocked down one man, and ran towards the leader. The large leader braced himself as I approached, but by then, I was already in close range. I grabbed his arm, used the martial arts I learned in the Special Forces to throw him down, and twisted his wrist to prevent him from struggling. The leader groaned as he lay on the road, so I turned towards the minivan to rescue Jennifer. As I approached the men, they stepped out of the car without resistance and handed Jennifer over. She stood behind me, hiding from the men. "Could you take the keys out of the minivan?" When I asked Jennifer, she nodded, retrieved the keys, and handed them to me. I pocketed them and then called the police. The police said they would arrive in 10 minutes, and as we waited, the leader spoke to me. "Are you American? You're incredibly strong. Were you in the military?" "I was in a special unit of the police force. You guys just had bad luck," I replied. "Indeed. Of all people, we had to attack someone from the special forces. That's fate. Curious about our conversation, Jennifer asked, "Hey, can you translate? What are you talking about?" I just told them that they had bad luck attacking a police officer like me. "Definitely bad luck, and you're really strong, defeating such a big guy so quickly." Jennifer seemed to have gotten used to the situation and spoke calmly. The men, except for the leader, looked restless as if they wanted to flee, but they resigned themselves to sitting as the leader made no move to stand up. "Can you let these guys go? They were just following my orders," he pleaded. "I doubt they'll stop if they get away." "That won't happen. They were scared and cooperated unwillingly. They all have wives and kids. If they are caught by the police, they'll be divorced and won't be able to see their children." The leader says that, but what do you think? When I asked the other men, they exchanged glances and said, "If the leader doesn't run, neither will we," and sat down on the road. "What are you talking about? Just run away." The leader glared at his unyielding men. Seeing this, I handed the car keys to the leader and decided to let them escape. "Hurry up, or the police will arrive." With that, the 5 men got into the car and drove off. Why let them go after catching them? I just have a feeling they won't do anything bad again. As we spoke, police sirens approached. The police arrived, and Jennifer and I were questioned, but we gave false information about the culprits and their car. Once released, we decided to head back to the hotel. Jennifer, seemingly exhausted from the tension, fell asleep on the way. Upon arriving and checking into our room, Jennifer was amazed by its size and the beautiful view. "What a spacious room. Look, the sea is so beautiful. Hotels abroad are usually like this, but I've never stayed in one with such a beautiful view before." As I said this, I walked towards the balcony and discovered there was even a private pool. "Jennifer, come here. There's a pool." As I pointed to the pool on the balcony, Jennifer quickly came over. Seeing the pool, she exclaimed, "Oh, isn't that nice? Maybe a swim will help me wake up." She pulled a swimsuit out of her suitcase and began changing right there. Finding it hard to know where to look, I gazed at the scenery outside while suggesting, "Let's go out for dinner later." After changing into her swimsuit, Jennifer responded, "Okay." She passed by me and dove into the pool. With some time before dinner, I decided to relax and lay down on the bed, eventually falling asleep. When I woke up, Jennifer, now changed back into her regular clothes, was asleep beside me, breathing softly. I tried to get up without waking her, but I accidentally stirred her awake. "Is it time for dinner? Jer, let's get ready." As I said that, lying down, Jennifer asked, "Daniel, were you in the SWAT team?" I can go into details, but I was in a special forces unit. I fought against bad guys and rescued hostages when they were taken. "I see. I'm glad you were there to save me. But why did you want to join the special forces? I never really told you about my childhood, did I? Let's talk while we walk to the restaurant." Saying that, I gently took Jennifer's hand as she lay there, helped her up, and we left the room. Originally, I wanted to become a police officer. I decided to share my past with Jennifer. I was born frail, so my parents, concerned about my health, had me try various activities. Swimming, baseball, basketball, wrestling. But the activity I stuck with was karate. It all started when my father suggested we go see the police cars at the local station, where a retired SWAT officer was teaching karate. Visiting the station, I was awed by the uniforms and bulletproof vests of the officers, which sparked my aspiration to become a police officer. I attended karate more to see the police cars and uniformed officers than to practice karate itself. Lacking physical strength, I couldn't compete with my teammates the same age and usually practiced with younger girls, which led to being teased from the boys my age. When I was thrown around by younger girls, resulting in laughter from my teammates, I was filled with frustration and often found myself in tears. Despite this, I never considered quitting karate. Seeing me in that state, my instructor, William, always encouraged me because of that. William, not only strong in karate, but also kind-hearted, quickly became my role model. I began to desire to become more like him, to get closer to his level. I started practicing karate in the living room, facing my father. Although my father had no experience in karate, he willingly took on the role of being thrown by me. When a loud noise came from the living room, my mom would scream and come running. "What's that noise? What happened to Dad? Daniel is strong at karate. He threw me." Seeing my father thrown, my mother would laugh and praise me. "Dan, you become so strong. When you grow up, I hope you become a kind police officer who helps people in trouble." I remember my parents always praised me. My father, inexperienced in karate and unfamiliar with how to fall safely, naturally ended up getting injured. However, he never let me see that side of him. It seemed that after I fell asleep, my mother would apply patches all over his body, and I would realize it the next day from the smell of the patches. Perhaps thinking he couldn't keep up, my father also started attending the karate classes at the police station to learn how to fall properly. That's where my father and William became good friends, and our families started to interact more. When William visited our house with his family, he would talk about his SWAT team experiences. He showed us albums and explained the various missions he had accomplished. Some of them were even broadcasted on live news programs, which surprised my parents. Seeing William in his SWAT team gear in the photos made him look even cooler than when he was in his police uniform, and I began to take an interest in joining the SWAT team. How can I join the SWAT team? Well, first you become a police officer, and then you volunteer for the SWAT team. They require you to have exceptional skills in martial arts, shooting, and arrest techniques, among others. And above all, physical strength is crucial. The training for the SWAT team is extremely rigorous. Without the necessary physical fitness, you just can't keep up with the training and become part of the team. Can I make it into SWAT? Of course, you can. You're kind and have a strong sense of justice. You have what it takes to be a police officer. Eat well, practice hard, get plenty of sleep, and stay healthy. Don't forget to study, or you won't make it into the police academy. William patted my head as he said this. I, a picky eater and slight in build, started going to bed early and waking up early from the next day, eating all 3 meals without fail. As I stopped being picky with food and began to eat everything that was served, I could feel myself getting stronger. It was evident that my physical strength was improving. My body didn't seem to build muscle easily, and I didn't look like someone who practiced karate. However, by the time I entered middle school, I had become the strongest among my peers. As my body grew stronger, so did my mental resilience. The days when I was a crybaby felt like a distant past. My middle school had a karate club, but I continued practicing at the police station gym. However, William advised me to join the school's karate club. You're strong among middle schoolers. Compete in the regional competitions to get your name out there. You'll learn about seniority there, too. Aim for a high school with a strong karate team. Then go to college. There's no rush to become a police officer. Stop by here sometimes and show us your progress. I continued to learn from William, but as he suggested, I joined a karate club in junior high. The athletic club had strict seniority rules, but being disciplined in manners and etiquette turned out to be invaluable later on. I realized that William wanted me to learn this. Karate practice in junior high was as strict as at the police gym, but practicing with peers of the same age was motivating. After school, we would excitedly discuss wins and losses, reflect on them on our way home, and refine our techniques in practice the next day. When I got home, I would have multiple servings of dinner and even share my father's dishes, eating a lot. Perhaps because of the increasing food expenses, my mother, who was a homemaker, started working part-time and began preparing nutritious meals with good ingredients. My father continued practicing karate at the police station and taught me what he learned from William. Although I no longer throw him in the living room, he carefully teaches me how to grapple. Then, he achieved his black belt before I did. He proudly showed me his black belt, setting a goal for me to achieve a black belt as well. By the time I was in the 8th grade, I had occasionally beaten seniors who had black belt, and it was said that I would have no trouble attaining a black belt myself. However, to be eligible for the promotion exam, one had to be at least 14 years old. Being born in August, I ended up being the last among my classmates to take the test. After passing the exam with my juniors, I reported the good news to my father. "Let's go buy a black belt the next day off." On the promised day, I went to a sports store with my father, only to find William there. He approached me with a smile, holding a black belt in his right hand. "Congratulations on achieving your black belt. This is a gift from me," he said, handing me the belt. Receiving it, I saw my name embroidered on a black belt. The black belt, a gift from the person I admired, was used until I graduated from high school and still rests in my room at my parents' house. In my 3rd year of junior high, I served as the karate club captain, leading the members. Despite not being physically imposing, I used speed and technique to throw bigger opponents, participating in national competitions in both team and individual events, and received recommendation offers from prestigious high schools. I chose to attend the strongest high school. Although my parents were worried because the school was far away and required full boarding, they respected my decision. Being an only child, my mother seemed to cry often from loneliness at night. When I returned home a few times a year, she would lavish me with food and bombard me with questions about school and club activities. During my rebellious phase, I found this annoying and would go to my room without responding, only to be scolded by my father. Surprised by his rare anger, I apologized to my mother and made amends. From then on, I made an effort to sincerely respond to her conversations. I continued to perform well in high school, but as graduation approached without any championships, I was set to move on to college through an escalator system, as he had chosen a high school that allowed for automatic advancement. In university, I practiced with a potential Olympic candidate, but the difference in our levels was evident, marking my first experience of defeat. However, my parents, who had been worried about my frail health since birth, were delighted to see how strong I had become and encouraged me. After graduating, I became a police officer and fulfilled my long-held dream of joining the riot police. The training and discipline in the riot police were even more rigorous, and it was a struggle to keep up at first despite my extensive university training. While many colleagues left, I endured and finally started my duties as a riot police officer. Recognized for my performance, I was invited to join a Special Forces unit and underwent the demanding Special Forces selection and training. After about 2 weeks of rigorous training, I was selected for further training as a new team member. The training lasted about a month, leading up to the final selection for official induction. During the toughest training I had ever experienced, I called William when I felt like giving up. "I'm struggling with the new team member training." William laughed and said, "That's expected. It reflects the responsibility of handling serious criminal incidents. I went through it too but couldn't make it through the selection. You have already surpassed me. Come and see me once you're in the Special Forces." Having thought I was nowhere near as good as William, it was encouraging to feel I had gotten a bit closer. This motivated me to showcase my inherent perseverance, and eventually, I managed to enlist. After successfully joining the Special Forces, I used my leave to go back home and visit William, who was at the police station. William at the police station seemed to have aged quite a bit, and he looked smaller to me. "Let's practice for old time's sake," he suggested, and we went to the gym for a match, but William didn't have the same strength as before. No, maybe I had just become stronger. William recognized my strength and seemed pleased. "Indeed, there's a reason you made it into the Special Forces. You've really dedicated yourself. I never thought you'd actually achieve your dream. It's a dangerous job, but you've fulfilled your dream. Do your best for the country." I exchanged a firm handshake with William and then returned to my parents' house. At home, I was barraged with questions by my mother as usual, but I didn't want to worry her, so I didn't share the details of my job. Since joining the Special Forces, I had been tasked with protecting dignitaries from foreign countries and working on crime prevention missions, which led me to become fluent in Thai. I've even been assigned to guard foreign prime ministers. It was a job that demanded physical and mental strength, as well as concentration. By the time I was past 30, I started feeling the decline of my physical abilities and thought about retiring. That's when I met Jennifer. I explained all this to Jennifer. "What a wonderful story. I always loved your parents, Daniel, but hearing this makes me love them even more. They're so full of love. Yes, they never once denied me. They acknowledged, praised, and supported me. I want to be that kind of parent too. Parents should be their children's biggest supporters." "Right. For now, let's become a couple like your parents." While we were talking, we arrived at the restaurant. As we parked at the restaurant, I noticed the same minivan that tried to abduct Jennifer earlier in the day. I stopped Jennifer as she was about to enter the restaurant. "Jennifer, that's the car from earlier today. What should we do?" "Go inside the restaurant. If you think it's safe, let's go in." Upon being asked, I decided to go in first to check out the inside of the restaurant. Seeing many families and a bustling atmosphere, I thought it was safe and invited Jennifer in. A waitress told us it was full and asked us to wait to be seated. After a while, we were guided to our table. Looking around, I noticed the leader of the group dining with his family. He was there with his 2 children, wife, and grandparents. I tried to stay unnoticed, but when the waitress came to take our order, the leader, Jason, noticed me. Our eyes met, and I signaled to him not to worry, but Jason told his family something and then approached me. "I'm sorry about earlier today. I almost lost my family." The leader, Jason, apologized to Jennifer and me. "It's okay. You don't need to tell your family about this morning. Just say you asked for directions to the hotel." Then Jason spoke to the waitress, and soon the 2 men who had attacked us earlier appeared. "Thanks to you letting us go. These guys decided to work honestly at this restaurant. There are not many other jobs besides tourism. So many people are poor here. They can't support their families even by working here at the restaurant, but they're still happy. If you had turned us over to the police, we would have been driven out of town and probably turned to more crime. We're truly grateful for what you did. I'm glad I could help. How are the other 2? They're looking for jobs, but it's tough." Hearing that, I felt a desire to help. "Is that so? I'm staying here for a week, so how about you show me around the tourist spots? I'll pay for it." Jason was pleased with my offer. "Do you mean it?" "Absolutely. It's far better than them getting into trouble out of boredom. Take us to those hidden gems that only locals know about. Not listed in any guidebook. I'll post about it on social media and introduce you as our guides." As I said that, Jason called to invite the 2 of them to the restaurant. In the meantime, I got Jennifer's consent. By the time we finished our meal, the 2 men had arrived, apologized for what happened earlier, and started talking about the tourist spots. One of them was quite eloquent and seemed like he could immediately start working as a guide. It turned out he had previously worked at a travel agency. While showing us the map on his cell phone, he listened to where we wanted to go and thoughtfully planned the route. Jennifer also actively participated in a conversation, conveying her requests through me, and before we knew it, it was almost closing time. We made arrangements for them to pick us up at our hotel at 10 a.m., and then we left the restaurant. This turned out to be quite an adventure, didn't it? But are you sure we can trust them? I might get abducted again. If that happens, I'll just have to come to the rescue again. They're amateurs, so it won't be anything serious. Maybe I should stash something in my pocket for self-defense. just in case. Jennifer didn't seem to take it as a joke, so when we got back to the hotel, she started laying out knives and forks on the table. When I told her I was just joking, Jennifer started tidying up, looking a bit embarrassed. As we lay in bed discussing the next day's plans, I suggested, why not post on social media now, starting tomorrow? We'll be exploring hidden tourist spots with local guides. If you're interested in contacting the guides, please let us know. It seems like a good idea. Since it was a great idea from Jennifer, I promptly posted the content she suggested on social media. Jennifer did the same, and as we watched the responses, we immediately received comments. The post received many questions like, the tour's sightseeing trips are just to branded stores and aren't interesting, but there's no other option because I can't drive. Is there a driver included? As I asked our guide about questions I couldn't answer and replied to the comments, a tourist said he wanted to make reservations. When I told the guides, they were thrilled. You've not only helped us but also provided us with work. How can we ever thank you? They replied accordingly, and on their social media, under the title Savior from America, they posted a photo of us together at the restaurant. When I forwarded the guide's social media to American tourists, they seemed to appreciate the photo, commenting, "That's a great photo. Let us know how our tour goes tomorrow." The next day, as we went down for breakfast, the guide and driver were already waiting for us. We still have an hour before departure. I told them that, but they happily replied, Jason wanted to make sure we wouldn't be late. We're also glad to be your guides. When I asked if they had breakfast, they said they hadn't, so we decided to eat together. Thank you for everything. While saying this, the two were heartily enjoying their breakfast. I couldn't help but worry if they struggled to have regular meals. Concerned, I watched them eat. Eventually, it was time to depart. The four of us set off in an old car that was far from comfortable. However, the driver's skill was impressive, and the places our guide took us to were a continuous display of breathtaking scenery. I took numerous photos and was about to post them on social media, but then I decided not to. I wanted people to see these beautiful landscapes for themselves, so I posted a message explaining why I chose not to share the pictures. The scenery in the areas our guide showed us was absolutely beautiful, and I took many great photos. However, posting them here might interfere with the guide's business. I encourage you to visit these places and see them with your own eyes. My post received a lot of support from people who agreed with my sentiment. I advised the guide and driver to improve the comfort and cleanliness of the car, since they said there were no rental car services available. I decided to lend them my rental car. The next day, they started guiding other American tourists, and it seemed like they wanted to make this their job. The American tourists who requested their services didn't post photos on social media, instead encouraged others to take tours with these guides. Soon, they had more reservations than they could handle. By the third day, Jason and his two colleagues from the restaurant joined in and started guiding tourists daily. Eventually, they were able to rent cars from a service and quickly became popular tour guides. I follow their achievements on social media, eagerly awaiting my return home. Upon checking out of the hotel, the five of them came to see us off. Jennifer and I shook hands with each of them and then headed to the airport. Within a year, they had established a tour guide company entertaining American tourists. Jennifer, finding an article about them in an American travel guide book, happily said, "We should visit them again. Yeah, once our baby is born and can travel by plane, we'll go see them." Saying that, I gently stroked Jennifer's belly.